explain the math of this to me? I mean, where's the sense in risking the lives of the 8 of us to save one guy?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the films that best capture the raw emotions of war and accurately present historical events. We'll be focusing on movies that portray the military and combat, not so much the effects on civilians.
Nobody hates you, Leonard. You just keep making mistakes, getting everybody in trouble.
Number 30, Lawrence of Arabia. While acknowledging that this is a Western perspective on the Middle East, the film is still hailed for its accuracy.
Come. I will take you to Faisal.
I do not want your company, Sharif.
It doesn't rely on a strict adherence to history. It admittedly takes some liberties with historical events. But for a 1962 epic, Lawrence of Arabia successfully captures the chaotic spirit of war. The film follows T.E. Lawrence, a British officer navigating the Arab Revolt during World War I. While it dramatizes Lawrence's exploits, the film nails the paradox of heroism. He's both a strategic mastermind and a flawed, larger-than-life figure. Historians dispute the exaggerated role of Lawrence in uniting Arab tribes, but the film contains a deep emotional truth. War is messy, transformative, and often driven by egos as vast as the landscape. Number 29, Gallipoli. There are those war movies that get it right, and there are those that get it wrong. Gallipoli is often praised as one that gets it right.
Well, you learn something every day. Still, can't see what it's got to do with us.
If we don't stop them there, they could end up here.
The 1981 Australian war film doesn't glorify battle. Instead, it lays bare its futility. Set during the infamous Gallipoli campaign of World War I, the film follows 2 young Australian men swept up in a war they barely understand. When they finally do reach the battlefield, they come face to face with brutal realities. War is deeply traumatizing, especially in light of severe miscalculations by the British.
Going for the neck tomorrow.
Nick?
Yeah.
I reckon the Turks have got machine guns everywhere.
Yeah, well, ship's guns are going to knock them out before we go.
While some details are fictionalized, the broader strokes are chillingly accurate. The needless slaughter, the camaraderie, and the lingering question of why. The movie's final moments are stark and devastating. Number 28, Kanał. The second installment in Polish director Andrzej Wajda's war film trilogy is an intense psychodrama about the horrors faced by the Polish resistance.
Powstanie w Warszawie zbliża się do tragicznego finału. Padli już dawno Starówka, Powiśle, Czarniaków i Sadywa. W Śródmieście Żoliborz i Mokotów, odcięte i otoczone przez duże siły niemieckie, płoną.
Set during the waning days of the Warsaw Uprising, we follow a Polish platoon. The film starts with an incredible 4-minute tracking shot, introducing the team as their final assault fails. They flee to the sewers, and we stick with them as they attempt to escape. The squad fractures as they navigate the underground labyrinth, searching for a safe exit. Whenever they try to emerge, they're attacked by Nazis. The strain and psychological torture proves to be unbearable.
Tam pod górę nie podejdę, ale chcę żyć.
To dobrze, Jacek. Nie bój się, będziesz żyć.
The members are picked off one by one, and the survivors are forced to confront their impending doom. Number 27, Tora, Tora, Tora. This isn't just a war movie. It is a meticulous history lesson in cinematic form. Chronicling the events leading to the attack on Pearl Harbor, the film splits its focus between the Japanese and American perspectives.
According to this latest intercept, Tokyo wants to conclude negotiations with us no later than November 29. After which, and I quote, things are automatically going to happen.
Capping off a decade of movies that glorified World War II, the film was unusually balanced for its time. Painstakingly researched, it sticks close to real-life events, from the missed warning signs to the tactical brilliance of the Japanese strike. This dedication to accuracy is its triumph. There are no over-the-top heroes, just bureaucratic errors, cultural misunderstandings, and the inevitability of war. Ultimately, the film underscores the reality of war. Human error, hubris, and strategy collide to reshape history at the cost of sacrifice and destruction.
You wanted confirmation, Captain? Take a look. There's your confirmation.
Number 26, Flags of Our Fathers. War photographer Joe Rosenthal took a picture in 1945 that became one of World War II's most iconic images. Clint Eastwood's Flags of Our Fathers peels back the layers of myth-making around that photo and Iwo Jima.
Every jackass thinks he knows what war is. Especially those who've never been in one. We like things nice and simple. Good and evil. Heroes and villains.
While the image galvanized a nation, the film reveals the reality behind it. It was a staged moment, a propaganda tool. The myth it created was a huge burden for the men it depicted. The film's combat scenes are raw and brutal, reflecting the hellish conditions of the Pacific Theater. Just as compelling is the story of the survivors, forced to grapple with survivor's guilt and the weight of being called heroes.
They may have fought for their country, but they died for their friends, for the man in front, for the man beside him. And if we wish to truly honor these men, we should remember them the way they really were.
Number 25, Battle of Britain. This film dramatizes the pivotal 1940 aerial campaign where outnumbered Royal Air Force pilots faced off against Hitler's Luftwaffe.
So don't threaten or dictate to us until you're marching up Whitehall. And even then we won't listen.
It is the single greatest source of British national pride during World War II, a portrait of defiance in the face of near impossible odds. Using real World War II-era aircraft and consulting veterans, the film recreates the dogfights with a visceral intensity unmatched by modern CGI. It also doesn't sugarcoat the stakes. Civilian bombings, internal tensions, and the sheer exhaustion of war are all laid bare. The film dives deep into the strategies, leadership dynamics, and the famous few whose efforts saved a nation.
I'm not very interested in propaganda. If we're right, they'll give up. If we're wrong, they'll be in London in a week.
It's more than a movie. It is a tribute to a moment when the skies determined the future. Number 24, A Bridge Too Far. You may not know this based on Hollywood's typical fare, but more often than not, failure lies at the heart of war. A Bridge Too Far unflinchingly embraces failure as its core theme.
They can't get us all in at once. Too many men, too much equipment, not enough planes. It's going to take 3 days to get the men into Arnhem.
The film chronicles Operation Market Garden, the Allied attempt to end World War II early by seizing key bridges in the Netherlands. It was a bold plan, but even the best-laid plans crumble under real-world conditions. Market Garden was undermined by flawed intelligence, overconfidence, and logistical chaos. The film meticulously portrays these blunders.
We can't clear the streets, sir. Enemy strength keeps increasing, and it's just impossible to get through to the bridge.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Sir.
Gerald, it's imperative that I get back to HQ before this situation gets completely out of hand.
The filmmakers often brought their star-studded cast to the actual locations. As a result, the film successfully captures the desperation, heroism, and inevitable heartbreak of the campaign. Number 23, Gettysburg. Historians often cite the Battle of Gettysburg as the turning point of the American Civil War.
I think we should concentrate here. All the roads converge just east of this gap, and this junction will be very necessary.
Yes, sir.
I left my spectacles over there. What is the name of this town?
Gettysburg.
The 1993 classic Gettysburg is an immersive plunge into both sides of the battle. The filmmakers utilized both the actual battlefield and thousands of Civil War reenactors dedicated to authenticity. From Joshua Chamberlain's heroic stand at Little Round Top to Pickett's doomed charge, the events unfold with impressive accuracy. The uniforms, tactics, and emotional weight were all painstakingly recreated. At times, Gettysburg feels less like a dramatization and more like a portal into 1863.
Spirit of the army is still very good indeed. We will do better another time.
The dialogue captures the era's ideological struggles, while the epic scale emphasizes the human cost of war. Number 22, Jarhead. By focusing on the unbearable waiting between missions instead of combat, the 2005 Gulf War film Jarhead redefined the war movie.
It was shortly after meeting drill instructor Fitch that I realized that joining the Marine Corps might have been a bad decision.
Based on Anthony Swafford's memoir, Jarhead centers the monotony, frustration, and disconnection of soldiers deployed to Operation Desert Shield. With eerie accuracy, it captures the psychological toll of modern warfare. Endless drills, sandstorms, and a fight that seemingly never comes. Unlike traditional war films, there's no glorified battle. Instead, we see an airstrike that renders all their sniper training irrelevant.
Are we ever gonna get to kill anyone?
This raw depiction is the point. War isn't always chaos. Sometimes it's the emptiness that breaks you. Number 21, The Longest Day. This movie sometimes feels like the cinematic equivalent of a history book brought to life, chronicling the D-Day invasion of June 6, 1944. The film captures the monumental Allied effort to breach Nazi-occupied France.
We're on the threshold of the most crucial day of our time.
What sets it apart is its commitment to authenticity. It captures every side of the battle in multiple languages. Its cast even included actual veterans. The film faithfully recreates key events, from the paratroopers' disorganized landings to the storming of Omaha Beach. While some dramatic liberties are taken, the overarching depiction rings true. The Longest Day is a story of coordination, sacrifice, and sheer logistical complexity.
One thing I'm sure of, we're gonna hold this town till a link-up does come. Whenever it is. Today, tomorrow, till hell freezes over.
The film shows D-Day as it felt at the time. A massive collaborative gamble rather than an inevitable victory. Number 20, All Quiet on the Western Front. All three film adaptations of the famous 1929 anti-war novel All Quiet on the Western Front were award-winning critical successes. The original, released in 1930, was the first Best Picture winner based on a novel. Like its predecessors, the hit Netflix adaptation tells the story of Paul Bäumer, a German teenager swept up in patriotic fervor.
Aber dies ist keine Zeit für die Schwächen des Geistes. Jedes Schwanken, jedes Zögern ist ein Verrat am Vaterland.
Paul enlists in the German Imperial Army in 1917 and fights in World War I. Over the course of the film, his patriotism is tested as his innocence is deflated by the horrors of war. While the film was criticized for excluding some of the book's geopolitical critiques, it was praised for its highly realistic battle sequences. Number 19, The Thin Red Line. The Thin Red Line is the second film adaptation of a novel about the Battle of Guadalcanal in World War II. It was also director Terrence Malick's first film in 20 years. While not as much of a commercial success as other similar movies, it was praised for its cinematography. Like many of Malick's films, The Thin Red Line takes a philosophical tone.
This great evil, where's it come from?
Malick viewed Guadalcanal as an Eden corrupted by the poison of war. The film is more poetic than most war movies. Malick chose to portray the violence indirectly, with damage inflicted on nature rather than human bodies. As one critic put it, quote, "Some films deal in plot truth. This one expresses emotional truth, the heart's search for saving wisdom."
Look out at the things you made. All things shining.
Number 18, Hacksaw Ridge. Hacksaw Ridge is a biopic about Desmond Doss, the first conscientious objector to earn the Congressional Medal of Honor. Doss was a devout Seventh-day Adventist, believing deeply in a life of nonviolence.
Murder, it's the worst sin of all. And to take another man's life, that is the most egregious sin in the Lord's sight.
He became a combat medic and devoted his service to saving the lives of soldiers who had previously tormented him for his beliefs. The film takes a number of liberties with Doss's life story and combat career. He actually earned 2 Bronze Stars before ever reaching Okinawa. It also compresses the timeline of the battle. Doss actually spent weeks saving lives, not days. Still, the movie is praised for the accuracy of its battle scenes, portraying the hell Doss crawled through to serve his country and his faith.
He'll be dead before we get him down!
You don't know that! Get him down!
Number 17, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. The British Navy has been the focus of Napoleonic war fiction for decades, and with good reason. Napoleon was a military genius whose strategic prowess helped him conquer much of Europe.
But I call that raggedy arse Napoleon your king? No! Want your children to sing the Marseillaise? No! Mr. Mort, Mr. Pullane, starboard battery!
In many ways, the British Navy was the one thing between Napoleon and total victory. Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World is an on-screen adaptation of the Aubrey Maturin novels, following the careers of a naval captain and his best friend and doctor. The movie is well loved by war historians. The representation of life aboard a naval vessel is immaculate. Master and Commander displays the cramped living conditions and smoky chaos of a battle at sea better than most films that came before it.
The simple truth is not all of us become the men we once hoped we might be. We are all God's creatures.
Number 16, Rescue Dawn. Rescue Dawn is a Vietnam War biopic directed by German director Werner Herzog. Based on a true story, Rescue Dawn follows Dieter Dengler, a German-American pilot.
From that moment on, little Dieter, he needed to fly.
After getting shot down over Laos, Dengler was held captive and tortured for months. He and his fellow prisoners learn that the guards plan to execute them, so they effect an escape. Most of the other prisoners were either killed or never recovered. The families of other survivors excoriated Herzog for changing details about the other prisoners and the planning and execution of the escape. Still, there was overall agreement on the portrayal of the conditions the prisoners faced. By the time Dengler was rescued, he had lost almost 100 pounds and was severely injured.
Please come back. Please come back.
Number 15, Full Metal Jacket.
You will not laugh. You will not cry. You will learn by the numbers. I will teach you. Now get up. Get on your feet.
We don't see much warfare until the second act of Full Metal Jacket, but the opening scenes are arguably even harder to watch, as a cruel drill instructor pushes one vulnerable private over the edge of sanity. R. Lee Ermey, who plays Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, was actually a drill instructor in Vietnam, and thus improvised many of his character's callous insults.
4 inches from your chest, Kyle! 4 inches!
Ermey's performance isn't the only aspect of this film that's shockingly accurate. Director Stanley Kubrick started researching the Vietnam War in 1983, drawing influence from documentaries, Vietnamese newspapers, and a plethora of photos. Kubrick also worked on the screenplay with Michael Herr, who was a war correspondent in Vietnam, and Gustav Hasford, a Vietnam veteran who wrote the semi-autobiographical book that inspired this film.
Okay, listen up. Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything? Anybody see a sniper?
Number 14, Lone Survivor. Marcus Luttrell was a Navy SEAL who fought in Afghanistan. Luttrell was the only surviving member of a 4-man recon team.
Listen up. Red Wings a go. Tonight, 1800.
During their mission, they encountered a local Afghan herdsman. As he was a non-combatant, the SEALs let him go, knowing he would inform the Taliban of their whereabouts. The entire team was killed except Luttrell, who was saved by local Pashtun villagers.
You know where to find the Americans?
Americani.
Luttrell wrote a book about the ordeal, which was adapted into the 2013 film Lone Survivor starring Mark Wahlberg. There are some controversies over the number of Taliban fighters and casualties, and some of Luttrell's account is disputed. Still, the film is generally accepted to be an accurate depiction of the harrowing mountain and forest combat American soldiers faced in Afghanistan.
We let him go. 20 more will die next week, 40 more the week after that.
Number 13, Paths of Glory. Most American war movies in the 1940s and 1950s tended to be jingoistic endorsements of the nobility of the military. In the middle of this era, Stanley Kubrick released Paths of Glory, a black and white World War I epic.
Though I must admit that, judging from the casualties, the efforts of your regiment must have been considerable.
How can you understand that and allow these men to be shot tomorrow?
Kirk Douglas stars as Colonel Dax, a French commander who loses a futile battle. Dax was forced into combat by the machinations of a politically ambitious general. The general decides to execute 100 men for cowardice to cover up his poor decision. Paths of Glory is a cruel indictment of the indifference of governments and commanders to the lives and health of the soldiers on the ground. Governments and militaries hated the film. It was banned in all U.S. military bases around the world.
It'd be a pity to lose your promotion before you get it. A promotion you have so very carefully planned for.
Sir, would you like me to suggest what you can do with that promotion?
Number 12, Stalingrad. In 1993, director Josef Filzmaier released his anti-war saga Stalingrad. The film centers around a platoon of Wehrmacht soldiers as they're transferred from Lviv in Italy to the Russian front.
Jetzt erwarten euch neue Aufgaben. Doch bevor ihr in der Heimat den Kern einer neuen Eliteeinheit bilden werdet,
they find themselves knee-deep in one of the bloodiest battles in human history at Stalingrad. Filzmaier puts forward an anti-war masterpiece, boldly choosing to eschew spectacle for grounded, grim reality. Over and over, the camera hovers over weeping soldiers and mangled bodies. Over the course of the film, men die from combat, disease, cold, and despair in equal measure. There is no glory in Stalingrad, only the harsh realities of the cost of war.
Ich bin deutscher Offizier. Ihr könnt mich doch jetzt nicht alleine lassen.
Number 11, Downfall. Downfall is a 2004 German film about Nazi Germany's final days before the Soviets took Berlin.
Ich muss hier in Berlin eine Entscheidung herbeiführen oder untergehen.
The writers and director built the look and feel of the film around a number of historical sources, like eyewitness accounts and memoirs. In fact, the accuracy of the film is the source of its largest criticisms. Many critics were furious at the humanization of Adolf Hitler. But, as the writer put it, realism was the whole point of Downfall. A vulnerable, crying Hitler may not be palatable, but his self-pity was part of how he attracted followers. The terrifying thing about Hitler, and men like Hitler, is not that they are monsters from Mars, but that they are people like the rest of us.
Morgen schon werden mich Millionen verfluchen. Aber das Schicksal wollte es nicht anders.
Number 10. Dunkirk. The evacuation of Dunkirk was one of the most harrowing events in British military history.
Some men across the channel at Dunkirk need taking off. Some men.
The Nazi blitzkrieg into France famously circumvented France's defensive Maginot Line. The German army swept through, encircling Allied troops. If the Brits hadn't evacuated at Dunkirk, the entire British army would have been crippled and utterly decimated. Chris Nolan's epic 2017 film Dunkirk chronicles the 10-day ordeal. Universally lauded by critics as one of the best war movies ever made, Dunkirk veterans praised the film's accuracy. While some details were changed for dramatic effect, the broad strokes were correct. Brief aerial dogfights and a fleet of civilian ships helped turn the tide and saved over 300,000 men.
Our thankfulness at the escape of our army must not blind us to the fact that what has happened in France and Belgium is a colossal military disaster.
Number 9. Das Boot. Wolfgang Petersen's World War II masterpiece revolves around the real German submarine U-96. Sparing no expense, 2 full-scale replicas of the U-96 were built to capture the size and scope of Lothar Gunther Buchheim's novel. Of course, Das Boot is also an incredibly claustrophobic film that floods the crowded submarine with tension. While this adaptation isn't without a few creative liberties, it touches upon a notion that isn't always explored in World War II movies. Not all Germans were Nazi sympathizers.
Wir trinken auf die deutsche U-Boot-Waffe und auf unseren geliebten Führer.
The German crew we center on is generally critical of Hitler and the war their government has landed them in. This puts our heroes in a difficult position as they're forced into the Battle of the Atlantic, demonstrating that war is never clear-cut. Number 8. 1917. Co-writer and director Sam Mendes based his World War I film on stories that his grandpa Alfred used to tell him as a boy. He teamed up with acclaimed cinematographer Roger Deakins to give the film the feel of having been shot in 2 very long takes. While Mendes took dramatic license with the events portrayed in the film, its depiction of combat resonated with audiences and critics. As one Military Times critic put it, quote, "War is hideous. Mud, rats, decaying horses, and corpses mired in interminable mazes of barbed wire." The one-shot style firmly ensconced the audience in the perspectives of Private Schofield and Blake. You see the trenches as a young, scared kid would, ramping up the fear, terror, and loss.
Erin Moore is inside, so tidy yourselves up. Never know. Might be mentions in dispatches for this one. If you don't bugger it up.
Number 7. We Were Soldiers.
Net call, this is Trojan 2.
This American war film was based on the memoir of Lieutenant General Hal Moore and reporter Joseph L. Galloway. Discussing his wartime experiences, Moore argued that, quote, "Hollywood got it wrong every damn time." Director Randall Wallace was thus committed to, quote, "getting it right" when he brought the story to the silver screen. In addition to Moore, Wallace spoke with numerous veterans of the Battle of Ia Drang, the first major clash between the US Army and the North Vietnamese Army. The battle lasted 3 days, and Wallace's attention to realism puts us in the center of the chaos. Although there are a few notable differences between the book and film, particularly the ending, Moore ultimately felt that this drama succeeded where others had failed.
I am in a fight, and I object to this order to return to Saigon. Now I will not leave my men.
Number 6. Glory.
Compared to World War I and World War II, Hollywood has not paid much attention to the American Civil War or the soldiers who fought in it. Glory transports its audience back to the 1860s while also shedding a spotlight on a lesser-known chapter in this particular war. The film focuses on Colonel Robert Gould Shaw, a white Union soldier who led the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, an African-American unit.
You're a good shot, Private. Thank you, sir.
Drawing inspiration from Shaw's personal letters, Glory has been praised for its honest portrayal of race relations at the time and the brutality of war. The climactic battle at Fort Wagner, despite getting some minor details wrong, is a mostly accurate account that doesn't romanticize or sugarcoat the aftermath.
You should have seen us in action 2 days ago. We were a sight to see.
Number 5. Come and See.
No! No! Don't take him away!
We've seen numerous movies about Nazi evil, although few have been as chillingly realistic as this Soviet drama. Taking place during the occupation of Belarus, the film follows a young boy as he's exposed to Nazi Germany's crimes against humanity. Director L.M. Klimov co-wrote the screenplay with Alish Adamovich, who also contributed to the source material I Am from the Fiery Village. This book is comprised of first-hand accounts from survivors of the Belarusian genocide.
No, they're not here! They're dead!
Klimov's film is largely inspired by the Khatyn massacre, in which 149 people, including 75 children, were burned to death. To be as faithful as possible, actual bullets were often used instead of blanks, real Nazi uniforms were worn, and the film was shot in Belarus with villagers as extras.
Are you crazy? All of you crazy? You want to just kill him? Let him die just like that?
Number 4. Platoon.
Well, here I am, anonymous all right, with guys nobody really cares about.
It's no secret that director Oliver Stone is a veteran, and Platoon is debatably the most personal entry in a so-called Vietnam War trilogy. Stone started writing a semi-autobiographical screenplay that would inspire Platoon not long after his tour concluded in 1968. Stone was meticulous when it came to recreating Vietnam as he remembered it, even having red dirt imported to the Philippines where filming took place. To get into the mindset of soldiers, much of the main cast underwent intense training for 30 days under the watchful eye of Dale Dye, another Vietnam veteran. After the film hit theaters, Dye recalls people telling him, quote, "I never understood your experience or why you didn't want to talk about it until I saw Platoon."
It's a depiction of Vietnam that's perhaps only rivaled by Apocalypse Now. Number 3. Black Hawk Down.
We got a Black Hawk down, we got a Black Hawk down.
In Black Hawk Down, director Ridley Scott plunges the audience into explosive anarchy and never gives us a second to catch our breath. This exceptionally edited film chronicles the 1993 Battle of Mogadishu from the perspective of American soldiers.
Shooting at us! We'll shoot back!
That being said, it doesn't draw much attention to the Malaysian or Pakistani soldiers who aided US troops. Nevertheless, this adaptation of Mark Bowden's nonfiction book takes gritty realism to new levels. Scott and cinematographer Slavomir Žižek approached the US-Somalia conflict with the finesse of a documentary. Perhaps the most authentic aspect of the film is the camaraderie between our central characters. Some of the cast members trained with real soldiers, creating a sense of brotherhood that shined through in the final product.
Sergeant Eversman! I heard you guys needed a lift! Yes, sir!
Number 2. Letters from Iwo Jima.
In 2006, Clint Eastwood released 2 films about World War II. Flags of Our Fathers, which was told from the viewpoint of US soldiers, and Letters from Iwo Jima, which shifted the focus to Japanese soldiers. Between the two, the latter film is the more ambitious and insightful piece. Ken Watanabe stars as General Tadamichi Kuribayashi, whose non-fiction book provided the basis for this war drama. The film remains truthful to Kuribayashi's account of the Battle of Iwo Jima and even borrows some of his exact quotes. Being an American production, you'd expect the filmmakers to take major liberties, or even have the Japanese inexplicably speak English.
How would you feel if America and Japan were to enter war?
I believe they would make splendid allies.
Eastwood never takes the easy way out, though, keeping his film grounded in history.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Saving Private Ryan.
Clear the room! 30 seconds! Got me with you!
Nothing can prepare you for the horrors of war, but Saving Private Ryan might be the closest you can get without enlisting. As a matter of fact, the film's opening D-Day sequence proved so believable that some veterans experienced PTSD while watching it.
Clear the shingle! Fire the hole! Fire now!
Everything about the film's depiction of the Omaha beach landings rings true, from the seasickness many soldiers felt upon arriving to the relentless mayhem that ensued. Rather than storyboarding the sequence, Steven Spielberg allowed the action to naturally play out with 1,500 extras and actual amputees participating in the shoot. While that first 27 minutes is what most people discuss, the entirety of Saving Private Ryan is a lovingly crafted salute to the men who gave their lives during World War II.
That's quite a view.
Yes, it is.
Movies that both glorify and excoriate war have been around since the beginning of film. Let us know what you consider to be the most accurate war movies in the comments below.
Now look here, this isn't a victory parade, you know. Oh, come on, sir, enjoy the moment. I will enjoy the moment when we reach the bridge and when we find the bridge intact.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.